18-year-old Matthew Boling smashed a high school all-conditions record, sprinting to the finish line in the 100-meter dash at a regional meet in just 9.98 seconds.
Back in 2019, a high school kid from Texas ran the 100 meters so fast, the internet exploded. They called him White Lightning, and at that moment, Matthew Boling became a viral sensation, a national headline, and the future of American track, all before he even turned 20. But now, at 24, after medals, records, and career moves no one saw coming, Boling has finally opened up about the rumors we've all been whispering for years. So what's the truth behind his rise, his faith, and the choices that shaped his path?
Number 1 Indonesia.
And Matthew Boling in lane 4, leading from start to finish. And a battle for second and third. It looked like...
Back in 2019, if you were even slightly into track and field, or just happened to be scrolling through Twitter or Instagram, you probably saw the video. A high school kid from Houston, Texas, flying down the track like a superhero, breaking the 10-second mark in the 100 meters. Sure, it was wind-aided, so it didn't officially count as a record, but the internet didn't care. That kid was Matthew Boling, and from that day on, everyone was watching.
A student in Texas, who is nicknamed White Lightning, set a high school record by running the 100-meter dash in 9.9.
They called him White Lightning, a nickname that stuck almost instantly. It wasn't just about his speed, it was the way he moved, the ease with which he left his competition behind. It looked effortless. And just like that, he became one of the most talked about high school athletes in the country. People were already calling him the future of American sprinting. College recruiters, sports media, fans, everyone had their eyes on him. Expectations, sky high.
Good start there in that first 100 meters. Let's see what Laird can do in the last bend. Boling is going to hold him up. Yes!
He chose to attend the University of Georgia and started competing as a freshman just as the COVID-19 pandemic turned everything upside down. And while he still showed flashes of brilliance, the truth is, things didn't go exactly how people imagined. He won national indoor titles and even earned the SEC Indoor Men's Freshman of the Year award in 2020. On top of that, he was named the SEC Scholar Athlete of the Year in 2021, a huge honor and proof that he was just as serious about academics as he was about athletics. But even with those achievements, there was always this lingering feeling among fans and critics. Is this it? After the internet explosion he had in high school, people expected him to dominate every single race in college. And when that didn't happen, some began to wonder if his high school performance was just a one-time fluke. The hype that once launched him into stardom became a heavyweight he had to carry through his collegiate years. What most people didn't see was the pressure he was under and how much he was growing behind the scenes, not just as an athlete, but as a person. While fans were waiting for another viral moment, Matthew was learning, adjusting, and building a foundation that would support something bigger. It wasn't loud, it wasn't flashy, but it was real. For a long time, people have been whispering the same question about Matthew Boling. Is he really a Christian, or is that just part of his image? It's one of those rumors that kept floating around, especially as he gained more fame. When someone becomes a public figure, especially at a young age, it's easy for people to start questioning what's real and what's just for show. And with Matthew, who's always seemed respectful and grounded, a lot of folks were genuinely curious about what drives him off the track.
It's to kind of outwardly express my faith. So I talked to the D group leader, his name's Irby, and decided to...
Well, he finally put the rumors to rest. Yes, Matthew Boling is a Christian genuinely and openly. And it's not just something he checks off on a form. He's spoken about his faith in multiple interviews, and it's clear it means something deep to him. Back in 2022, while he was still in college, he decided to get baptized. For him, that moment wasn't just symbolic, it was personal. He described it as a way to outwardly express his faith, saying that he had been learning more and more about what he believed and wanted to show that publicly. That kind of decision takes a lot of maturity, especially for someone in the spotlight. If you followed his journey closely, this side of Matthew has always been there, you just had to pay attention. From attending private Christian schools since kindergarten, to being involved in athlete devotionals during his college years, faith has quietly played a big role in shaping who he is. And now that he's older, he's just more open about it. He doesn't come across as preachy or self-righteous either. Instead, it's more about how his faith helps him stay grounded, especially when the pressure gets intense. He's even admitted that all the early attention going viral in high school, the expectations and the comparisons taught him a lot. And one of the biggest lessons was to stay humble and give credit where it's due. In his words, it taught him to give God the glory and to know who's there for you. That kind of reflection doesn't come easy, especially when you're still in your early 20s and the world's watching your every move. But it shows you that for Matthew, running fast is only part of the story. There's a deeper motivation behind it all. Matthew Boling was born and raised in Houston, Texas. But if you think that's the full story of where he comes from, you'd be missing a big part of the picture. His roots stretch back to Europe. According to writer Richard Pennington, his ancestry comes from the Peninsula of Peninsulas, which is a poetic way of saying he has a deep European heritage. It's not something he talks about all the time, but it adds another layer to who he is. He's a proud American athlete who runs for Team USA, but his family background carries the history and culture of another continent, which quietly lives on through him. Growing up, Matthew wasn't just surrounded by track spikes and medals. He was raised in a Christian household where faith and discipline went hand in hand. From the very beginning, literally kindergarten, he attended private Christian schools. That kind of environment shaped a big part of who he is. It wasn't just about reading textbooks and running laps. It was about learning how to stay grounded, how to work hard without bragging, and how to be thankful for the gifts you've been given. You can see those values in how he carries himself, even now as a professional athlete. What's interesting is how much his background shows up in his performance, not just in results, but in his mindset. He doesn't come across as someone chasing the spotlight or trying to prove something to everyone. Instead, there's this quiet focus in him, this sense of purpose that feels bigger than just winning a race. That kind of mindset doesn't happen overnight. It comes from years of being raised in a family and school system that taught him about humility, patience, and believing in something greater than yourself. When Matthew Boling chose to attend the University of Georgia, a lot of people were watching closely. After all, this was the same guy who went viral in high school for running like a blur down the track. Everyone was expecting fireworks from the moment he stepped onto campus. And while his time at Georgia was full of achievements, the journey didn't unfold exactly how some fans imagined. He didn't just show up at Georgia to run fast. He was also serious about his education. Matthew studied business administration, proving that he wasn't just about sports. He balanced books and blocks, and somehow made it look easy. In 2020, he was named the SEC Indoor Freshman of the Year, which is a big deal considering how competitive that conference is. Then, in 2021, he became the SEC Scholar Athlete of the Year. That's not something you win by accident. It means he was excelling in both athletics and academics, which speaks volumes about his work ethic. But even with those accolades, there was this constant cloud of expectation hovering over him. People were still holding on to that viral moment from 2019 and hoping for the same shock and awe kind of performances in every race. The truth is, college competition is a whole different beast. The pressure, the schedule, the level of talent, it's intense. And while Matthew had some huge wins, he also had to deal with learning curves, mental pressure, and the constant buzz of comparison. Still, through all of it, he kept his head down and focused on getting better. You never really saw him chasing attention or making noise. He let his work speak for itself. Then came the move no one quite expected. He decided to go pro before finishing his college eligibility. Fans were surprised. Some wondered why he'd walk away when he was already doing well in both school and sports. But Matthew had his reasons, and they made sense once you heard them. He said he wanted to fully commit to his Olympic dream. He didn't want to hold back anymore. He wanted to train with the best, compete with the best, and give himself the best shot at making it on the world stage. So, what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below.